Welcome back to the Daily Crypto Roundup Deep Dive. If you've been with us before, you know the drill. No legal jargon, no doom scroll tweets, just the truth about what moves markets and what it means for your portfolio. If you're new, hit follow right now, because today's episode is one of the biggest we've ever done. Gary Gensler is out. Paul S. Atkins is in. And that single change at the top of the SEC could define the future of crypto in America. By the end of this episode, you'll know what changed, what didn't, and exactly how it plays out across Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, DeFi exchanges, and the ETFs race. Let's set the stage. For years, US crypto lived under an enforcement cloud. Gensler's SEC called almost everything but Bitcoin a security. He told exchanges to come in and register, then admitted there was no clear registration path. Lawsuits against Ripple, Coinbase, Binance, and a long tail of projects turned the market into a courtroom drama. Every headline was a trading signal. That era ended on January 20th, when Gensler stepped down. 3 months later, Paul S. Atkins, a former SEC commissioner with a reputation for market-friendly instincts, took the chair. New sheriff, new playbook, but the same agency. So who is Atkins? He's not a cheerleader. He's not a crusader. Think of him as a referee who wants the rulebook leaner, clearer, and focused on actual fraud. His early moves tell the story, revisiting Gensler-era mandates, questioning high-cost regulations that don't pass a cost-benefit test, and even floating relief for public companies on quarterly reporting burdens. For crypto, that shift doesn't mean a free-for-all. It means the center of gravity moves from assume no to prove investor harm. That's a big difference. Let's talk ETFs first, because ETFs are where retail and institutions finally meet. Bitcoin's spot ETFs already broke the wall. They put BTC into retirement accounts, wealth platforms, and passive portfolios. Under Gensler, approval only came after the courts forced it. Under Atkins, the question shifts from if to how fast and how broad. The battlegrounds now? Ethereum ETFs becoming mainstream allocations, and the long-debated possibility of altcoin ETFs. Now don't get it twisted. Even a deregulatory chair can't wave everything through. Surveillance sharing and manipulation standards still apply. But the big change is process. Under Atkins, you can expect faster yes or no answers, less purgatory, and more clarity. And because ETFs flows are sticky, clarity alone can reprice majors. If you're eyeing rotation into alts on ETFs headlines, stick around. We'll come back to what's realistic. But ETFs are just the front door. What about the house itself, the exchanges? Coinbase spent years asking, register what exactly? That case, plus offshore actions, proved one thing. The SEC can stall you even if it can't stop you. Under Atkins, tone changes. Less regulate by press release, more settle with disclosure and compliance undertakings. Don't confuse tone with surrender. Fraud, wash trading, manipulation are still inbounds. But a credible path for US exchanges to list more assets without constant panic delistings? That's on the table now. And that matters to your portfolio more than any press release ever did. Now, the courtroom legacy. This is where Gensler left scars, but also limits. Ripple's partial win cracked the SEC's aura of inevitability. Judges started questioning its consistency. Grayscale's GBTC case forced the ETF's door open. These weren't just headlines, they became legal guardrails, meaning even if Atkins hated crypto, he'd still be boxed in. Instead, he can lean on those rulings to justify faster, clearer, more predictable outcomes. Courts clipped the SEC's wings. Atkins is choosing to fly straighter lines. So what's realistic in the next year? First, clarity by subtraction. Killing off the most controversial, high-cost, low-benefit proposals. Refocusing staff on fraud and investor protection. For crypto, that means less energy wasted on square peg, round hole crusades. Second, targeted guidance. FAQs, bulletins, practical paths for token teams and exchanges. Under Gensler, answers were, see you in court. Under Atkins, they could be, here's how to comply. Third, procedural reforms. Faster timelines. Decisions in weeks or months, not years. That's boring on paper, but in markets it's everything. Builders stop dying in limbo. Asset managers stop treating maybe as a no. Capital flows where there's predictability. Does this mean every altcoin gets an ETF? No, it doesn't. The bigger point is predictability. When you know the rules, even a no is tradable. Bitcoin and Ethereum benefit first, then majors with credible narratives. Solana's throughput, XRP's payments thesis, Avalanche and Enterprise, Dogecoin with its meme network. Under Gensler, each one lived under whiplash risk. Under Atkins, you still face standards, but you can see them coming. Let's pause on politics, because this isn't just Atkins versus Gensler. It's also Congress versus the agencies. Right now, the White House and Hill lean deregulatory. That alignment means incremental wins, safe harbors for decentralization, bespoke disclosure regimes for exchanges, maybe pilot programs for tokenized assets and stablecoins. None of this is overnight. But windows open when the chair and Congress aren't at war. And we need to be clear. The SEC is still the SEC. Fraud cases will keep coming. Exchanges that play cute with custody or proprietary trading will get hammered. Courts gave the industry some wins, not a blank check. Atkins can prioritize and interpret. He cannot legislate. The Howey test still stands. The Exchange Act still governs. Don't mistake a friendlier chair for no rules. Quick note on stablecoins and tokenization. This is where a market-friendly SEC chair matters indirectly. Congress and the Fed lead, but the SEC's stance on tokenized funds and disclosures for tokenized treasuries will either accelerate rails or bog them down. Atkins leans green light for pilots, strict light for fraud. That balance means Wall Street experiments onshore, not offshore. And while we're here, this is the reminder you knew was coming. Policy can change, prices can move, but the one constant risk in crypto is custody. Hacks, freezes, blow-ups. I keep my core stack in a Ledger hardware wallet so I don't wake up to a service unavailable screen. If you're holding mid to long term, get it off exchanges. Protect your keys, protect your edge. Links in the description. Back to DeFi. Under Gensler, the line blurred between code and company. Under Atkins, expect more separation. Where there's a company taking fees and marketing returns, full securities treatment. Where there's truly decentralized infrastructure with no promoter and transparent risks. Less appetite to force retrofits. For serious projects moving toward decentralization, that distinction matters. Now let's bring in psychology, because markets are more than law. Under Gensler, crypto was always on defense. Under Atkins, tone alone can shift flows back into US venues. ETF's breadth widens the audience. Process clarity lowers cost of capital. Fewer surprise lawsuits reduce headline risk. Confidence builds. And in markets, confidence always begets flows. But let's steelman the bear case. First, politics can turn. A chair's philosophy only lasts until the next election. Second, not every court ruling will go crypto's way. New precedents could cut against the industry. Third, structural limits remain. Institutions won't touch thin, manipulated, opaque tokens. Compliance, liquidity, and disclosure are the price of entry. So who's winning? If you measure direction, crypto's in a better spot than a year ago. Courts narrowed the SEC's power, ETFs proved out, and a new chair prizes clarity. That's crypto winning on points. If you measure ability to delay and deter, the SEC still controls the clock. But under Atkins, those whistles sound more like rules than ambushes. Final thought. Crypto never needed a cheerleader at the SEC, it needed a referee who calls a fair game. Gensler's SEC felt like moving goalposts. Atkins isn't promising a new sport, he's promising consistent officiating. And in a market this young, that's the difference between chaos and compounding. So, the scoreboard today. Crypto has the momentum. The SEC still draws the lines. The real question is, does Atkins call this game fair or foul? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash like, hit follow, and protect your stack, because this next year could define the entire cycle. We will see you at the top.